My wife 29F of 14 years wanted a divorce but then backed out. Now I'm 30M, not sure about continuing the relationship. It is very difficult to summarize 14 years in a few lines, but I would like to give some context. First years. When we first got together, we were only 17 and 16. Things were great, of course. Lots of going out and unlimited phone calls in the evening to stay in touch. Problems started when I got introduced to her family. You see, my wife comes from an abusive family, fortunately not the violence type, but mostly her mother has a strongly narcissistic personality, and this has greatly influenced both her and her siblings, and her father as well. For a greater portion of our relationship, my wife believed her job was to only help her mother with household chores, cooking, cleaning, emotional support, etc., practically becoming her mother's mother. I could see the stress and resentment from my wife and even attempted to talk to her to just say no sometimes, but to no avail. Although I like her family and we have a great relationship, they call me their third son. I figured out the best way to help my wife was to put some physical distance between her and the household. Hometown years. We rented a small apartment at 21 and 20, and things slowly improved until some events broke the quiet and forced her to visit her parents' house every day. She would get calls in the middle of night asking for her presence, and she would take my car and basically sit on her parents' couch listening to their problems. This situation got dragged for almost 5 years. This took a toll on her health, and all my attempts to lift her spirits were nothing but ephemeral solutions. We even stopped doing vacations because she would say, "I need to take care of them even if I don't want and would love to go on a vacation just you and me." No. Thanks God they are fully self-sufficient and have no illnesses. During this time, she also resorted to binge eating, reaching almost 200 pounds, but I've never ever flirted with another girl, but always tried to support her by cooking healthy lunches and never judging her appearance. She was and still is gorgeous to my eyes. Since I understand it's very hard to stay healthy when dealing with a lot of stress. New life years. In all these years, I always pushed for therapy but always got rejected. You see, where I'm from, therapy is seen as something for the mentally ill, so even my wife quickly dismissed my suggestions. However, I picked up on psychology books and started listening to her even more by just talking, never judging. She confessed that she wanted out of the situation and wanted to start working instead of just depending on me. That's fair, and I was ready to support her. In a moment of clarity, we talked to her mother and announced that we would move to another state to let her pursue a degree. The mother agreed, but only if the degree was in education. My wife reluctantly accepted. She said that moving out was her first desire, and that's what we did. We got married. She started her degree, and after a year, I used my savings to rent another apartment for her in a state 350 miles from our hometown. I couldn't drop my job presto. For the first time in years, I could see my wife smile. I also picked up on education books since she was struggling with learning and I wanted to help her. She was living alone, so I also taught her how to drive, pay bills, fix stuff around the house since her parents never taught them to her because not a woman job, but I wanted her to be independent. In the meantime, the house incident happened between her and her family, but I stepped in to solve it. In the end, she graduated, even if in the thesis acknowledgments her parents were the first to have guided her, but that's okay. Unfortunately, during this stage, I discovered that one of her coworkers was flirting with her and she was not rejecting him openly. I confronted her and said that I was leaving, but she sweared nothing happened. Made me read all of the chats and finally cut the ties with the coworker. Lots of talking. She was crying a lot. I was 100% sure nothing happened, so I forgave her. Back together. With 2 jobs, we were able to look for our real home and we luckily found it. We bought it with a mortgage 50-50, but I invested around 20K for renovating it. I left our first apartment, changed job, and moved to the other state. Things were finally better. She was much happier, even if she started to hate her job because it was basically chosen by her mother through the degree. I encouraged her to look into therapy again, and finally free from our hometown looks, she finally accepted. In less than 1 year, she learned how to deal with her narcissistic mother, did some EMDR for certain traumas. Our relationship would pop up during her sessions, but she always replied she was 100% sure she loved me. 90% of her therapy sessions were focused on the mother-daughter relationship. I only know because she would always cry when going to therapy, so I took permits and drove her 60 miles back and forth to the therapist, and she would tell me her experience during the trip back. I encouraged her to go to the gym, and she started losing weight. She was always beautiful to my eyes, but now she's even more gorgeous. I encouraged her to get on Bumble and make new girlfriends because she needed had real friends. So she did and made some close girlfriends now. Holidays are still a problem since she feels like not authorized by her mother, so I mostly book trips and tell her I got a surprise at the very last minute. Last month. Then, out of the blue, she said that maybe it's better if we stop our relationship. I was dumbfounded. Our life was finally great. Lots of going out, activities, trips, good intimacy, a new home. I asked her why, but she couldn't answer. Then, after some talking, she mentioned something about me not wanting to go out with her group of friends. Girl, what the actual F***K? I wasn't even mad. Just I couldn't believe my ears. You see, I'm not mad because I took take of this girl for 14 years. After all, I did that because I loved her. But I do believe that there should be at least a valid reason for leaving someone, not, I don't know. Later she backtracked because, her words, I talked to my close friends and cousin and they said I'm crazy for leaving a man like you, but I refused. Again, I can't even. Now she's trying to behave like a wife, but I feel nothing anymore. Of course I can't stop thinking about it, and I've been secretly crying during the night. But for the first time in years, I don't know what to do. Part of me tells me to just leave, the other part says that I can save the marriage. We are back to our hometown because we are leaving for a 2 weeks holiday. We didn't mention the situation to our families, but we agreed to tell them after the vacation. There's a lot going on because her family treats me like a son. During last 3 Christmas, her siblings even bought gifts only for me because they jokingly said, "We secretly like you more than our sister." Yesterday, I was helping her father with stuff around the house, and he mentioned how good it is that I'm here, and that he bought a pack of beers and that we should enjoy them when I'm back from the vacation while we continue fixing his old motorcycle. We started it as a passion project when I was alone there. I have had answers for years, but now I'm wondering on what's the right thing to do. What I did wrong. What I should say. Please help me. I'm getting crazy. TLDR. Helped wife out of her abusive relationship with her mother while supporting her for 14 years. Now that she's got her life back, she first wants to divorce me, then backtracked. I'm not sure I really want to continue the relationship.